All right, hello. I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is my live stream episode 234. Today, we're going to be working on comics, which I'm actually pretty excited about. And I think we might kind of listen to a debate that I think will be pretty entertaining. It's another modern day debate, and this one's like somebody arguing for the flat Earth, which I think will be hilarious. So, uh, so anyhow, I'm going to be working on Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and working on the art for that. It's a historical fiction graphic novel about the Brownings and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, the famous Victorian poet, and her interest in spiritualism, seances, and other such things. And then aside from that, if you're curious who I am or anything like that, I've been a graphic designer and illustrator for over 20 years and an art director for about 7. And when I'm not art directing or illustrating or doing graphic design, I am working on graphic novels that I've written and illustrated that are out are basically 2 books. Wow, that was a weird transition. But anyhow, I have 2 books out that I wrote and illustrated. One of them is 2 Stories, which is my graphic novel that talks about my journey learning how to deal with depression as well as caregiving for somebody with panic disorder, as well as growing up and learning how to navigate hypocrisy at a religious institution at a really young age. And that is available on bookstores online everywhere. And then aside from that, there is my graphic novel, Jacob's Apartment, which is a coming of age slice of life story about 2 roommates who are going through tumultuous times in their lives. The main character, Jacob, his father is diagnosed with cancer, and he goes through like a spiral, kind of trying to figure out his identity and whether there's a reality to his faith and his belief system. And Sarah, his roommate, is going through a similar kind of identity questioning due to a broken relationship with her ex-boyfriend who moved to New York. And as they're both kind of trying to find their identity, and they're in their early 20s and kind of trying to find their purpose and get their careers off the ground, they find themselves drawn together in both reality and in their dreams. And as that happens, dreams and reality start interweaving in a doomed romance graphic novel that is for basically ages 16 and up. So that's Jacob's Apartment. I'll probably play trailers for that at some point. But enough of that. Let's get to our drawings. So I'm going to go ahead and put here the daily stream. You'll notice it's a little adjusted. I moved my camera over so that when we actually start playing some content that we can listen to while we draw and stuff like that. Yeah, so we can kind of comment on it, watch it together, and work on art at the same time. I'm going to listen to this weird I have not heard this debate yet, but this is a thing I like to have in the background when I'm working on art. And my goal is to stream for about an hour. I have a hard out at like 8 o'clock where I have to go read my kid, do book time with him. And then I will be back at like 9 o'clock to kind of rock and roll. Ronnie Gunter said, "What's up? How's it going, Ronnie? We're going to watch some weird content today." I hope you're up for some weirdness because, again, like I think I've mentioned this. I'm going to try to do a little bit more kind of commentary streams, especially on days where I have to do art. And it just allows for a little bit of content. And it's also stuff I would listen to anyway when I'm working. I'm really fascinated with listening to debates quite a lot while I'm working. And this one just looked really juicy and fun to listen to because, again, it's like a flat earther arguing for flat earth. And these are always kind of mystifying and funny to kind of check out. So and that's not to make fun of anybody's like beliefs or thoughts on things. It's just when it comes to like conspiracy theories, it's always interesting to watch the person who has to argue against a conspiracy because it's almost an impossible thing to argue against because like for a good example would be the flat earth where it's like there's so much evidence to the contrary that it almost becomes unprovable to somebody who has just debunked all the evidence. So it'll be interesting to kind of see. But it's like, if you're that convinced of something where you'll just come up with, like, I don't know, magnetic fields. I've heard all sorts of things where people will stretch science to kind of fit their worldview. And it's fascinating. So we'll see how this goes and if this goes down like this. But I always find these interesting to watch because it's, I think, frustratingly very hard for people to debate conspiracies. And so I think it'll be interesting. Thomas was saying, I'm always impressed by how much production goes into some of these flat earth videos. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people make money off those kind of things. So like, it's funny to me, and Thomas, maybe you can chime in on this too, but to me, it's always funny that heavy conspiracy theorists always rely on the idea of, and we'll work on art in like 2 seconds, but they always rely on the idea of like you can't trust institutions. Like that's usually the angle they'll take, where they'll say like institutions can't be trusted. You have to question everything. And you have to question the motives of everything. So they, like, one of the big things they always harp on is like, well, follow the money, right? Like they'll say stuff like that. But what's interesting to me is how little they'll do that of their own kind of viewpoint, where like they won't think like, wow, there's a lot of money in this conspiratorial stuff, like for the conspirators, or you know what I mean? Like for the people peddling this kind of nonsense science, like there's a heavy paycheck at the end of the road for that if they can convince people of it. It's kind of like the emperor's new clothes. Like if you can convince people that this invisible clothes is really expensive, then you can take a really fat paycheck for nothing, which is great. But it's interesting to me to see how quite often people who will be like deep into these theories won't even connect that, but they'll be the quickest to connect. They'll be like, oh, these pharmaceutical companies, like they're always after money. And it's like, yeah, but like this vlogger who's getting ad revenue, like they're going to make some income off this too, right? Anyhow. Okay. So that being said, I've kind of queued it up. We're going to put on our little conspiracy video and we're going to work on some art. So that, and this is kind of the best way I can go about it. You know what I might do, just to kind of make it a little better for you guys so you can see some of the art. How's it going, Mr. Jim Lujan said, hello, Dr. J. How's it going, Jimmy the Loots? Jim Lujan on his channel has a live stream as well that you guys should be checking out. Checking out. All right. Are you guys ready to rock and roll? We're gonna draw for about an hour, and then at 8 o'clock we'll have a hard out, and then I'll be back around 9, and probably start the 9 o'clock stream with a round of Risk if I get stuff accomplished. So we'll see how this goes. How is everybody going? How are you guys doing? Let me know in the chats if you can hear this okay. Let's check out this wacky debate. Let's skip the intro. Okay, let's skip forward a little bit. Try to skip forward even more.
Get higher and higher and higher until this is at Antarctica. Okay, fantastic. So flat Earth. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so I'll go through this.
Okay, so we're gonna watch
sort of leaving anyone behind. I'm sure.
Debate. Can you guys hear this? Okay.
So first off, you may have seen this before. It's a question that I've asked Austin in,
and I'm going to shade debate, this page.
Never gave a good answer for, and I really want to sort of touch on this again. The circumpolar stars. So basically, for those who don't know, the circumpolar stars are those which rotate around the poles or the center of the globe model. Now, basically, they go anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, however, they go in a clockwise direction. Now, this was taken in Australia. The other one was taken in the northern hemisphere. I believe it was UK. So notice that there's no central star in the south, and it's a lot closer to the horizon because it's a lot further south in latitude. Now let's have a look. This is what it looks like comparatively side by side. Clockwise in the counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, straight in the equator, and south they go clockwise. Now, what's interesting about this, and this is a photo from Alaska. Notice how they're much higher in the sky at a more northern latitude. This is because as you go towards the poles, they get higher and higher and higher until this is at Antarctica. That's a LIDAR. They are perfectly above the poles. So this is taken at the South Pole. This doesn't work on a flat plane, as there is no real South Pole. And what's interesting about it, this is how it works on a globe. Basically, you're looking either south or north on the globe. The stars, which are, let me get my marker, these round here, they never set. Whoops. They never set, and these are the south ones. Never.
So can you guys hear that? Oh yeah, Paul was saying Earth feels flat to me. Yeah. So let's see here. So one of the things I love about these debates is like it puts. I will say also, if you guys ever want to see like a really great debunk of just like a flat earther within like 5 seconds, I have no idea how good this one will be. But there's a YouTube channel of a guy named Professor Dave who like shuts down one of the biggest flat earth conspiracy theorists in like 5 minutes and then proceeds to just kind of like just run like it's almost like he just scattershot science is the guy. It's hilarious and interesting to see. Gary said, "Oh no, are we listening to lunatics debate?" I think at this point we're not. I think the first person in this stream, the person we're hearing right now, is actually trying to present the disproofs for the flat earth, which is, again, like I feel bad for the guy, the fact that he even has to have this conversation with a grown adult. But the thing I also find fascinating about these debates is the fact that like how frustrating is it to have to go back to basics, like right what he's explaining now about like the way that stars rotate, the earth rotates, and that causes the view of the stars to like kind of navigate the way they do. It like you learn this in like maybe first or second grade, and the fact that like he's going to have to use this as a proof in a debate is really fascinating. But again, I always find these fascinating because it seems it just seems really frustrating for this guy, our friend here that we're listening to. I worry for him. I have no idea who he's debating. Let me see if I can find the names just so you guys can. So this is Austin Whitsitt Gets It versus Mark Reed, and I'm not sure which one's the flat earther. I guess we'll find out. So I know this first guy is clearly trying to point out disproofs of a flat earth. So it'll be fun and interesting to see the guy who comes in and is like, nope, the earth is flat. Okay, I'll be right. I'm gonna put this back on.
That's it. This is a model of how it works, and I'll just let this run for 1 second. So they're going counterclockwise in the north. Clockwise in the south. Now, the problem with the flat Earth is, where is the southern circumpolar stars? Because when you look south from Australia and south from South Africa and south from South America, you see exactly the same stars. And indeed, because South Africa, say someone in Cape Town and somebody in Perth, it's nighttime at the same time, they're seeing the same stars by looking south. So is that south? Why is that south? And then what happens?
So I'm just gonna come in here. So this is a really good point. But what's funny is I haven't seen this one, but I've seen some of these debates with flat earthers before, and they'll say weird things like they'll be like light reflection or refraction of the light or magnets. That's why you're seeing it. It has nothing to do with. Even though the most plausible answer would be a round Earth, no, it's magnets. Anyhow, here we go.
Happens to the people in South America seeing the same stars. So what I want Whitser to do is explain that when we don't see the stars travel this way at all, we see no lateral movement of the stars whatsoever. How do they get round to the south of the other place?
Good question.
Now this is flight times. This is Perth to Johannesburg. That's 11 hours and 30 minutes, and Boston to Honolulu, 11 hours and 15 minutes. Now, they're roughly the same amount of time. Now, that's how it's displayed on a flat Earth map. Why is this the same flight time? This is the most ridiculous.
Okay, so I will tell you the flight time thing. I have a suspicion they won't even answer that. I've seen some before where like they'll be pinned down on like, why does it take me longer to like fly? You know, and I've heard all sorts of things in debates that I've listened to before where they'll even say that it's like a conspiracy of the flight, like the airlines are all kind of in cahoots and they like extend the flight time. Anyhow, so it'll be funny or interesting to see if the guy who rebuts this, who believes in a flat Earth, even gets to this one. I'm guessing he probably won't, or she.
Thing. This is the same flight time, and apparently one is a lot further than the other. On any flat Earth map you want to look, because when you extend the southern hemisphere out on a flat Earth, it automatically takes that long. Now, this is a video of a ship.
The Horizon. I bet this is going to be the Horizon. I love it.
I have to start this.
Oh no, his video's messing up.
I do apologize. Just 1 second. Yeah, so this is the Golden Princess. It's a massive cruise ship. It's got a length of 290 meters, 17 floors high. It weighs over 100,000 tons.
Nice.
Now, as it goes out, I really want you to see this. This is ships going beyond the horizon.
Again, this is going to be so funny to hear the rebut for it. Yeah, why do things disappear over the horizon? Like, if it's a flat plane, shouldn't it just continually... Anyhow, let's see. Paul said, JFC Josh, have you not been paying attention to U.S. politics? There are no bounds to our stupidity. Don't be frustrated by flat earthers. They're at least the least of our worries. Oh, I know. I agree. Thomas said, I do enjoy a good conspiracy theory. They're quite fun, but do really not enjoy the flat earth theory. Too many astronomy and geology courses in college. And then also Jim points out, which is true, this is the funder of my stream, is Big Roundy. That's the conspiracy. I think I enjoy these kind of debates because it reminds me of a Jim Lujan cartoon. I feel like Jim would have a character that's a flat earther. That feels like something. Okay, here we go.
Whoops. I'll just oh god, all right, sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
Maybe his technical difficulties are from Big Roundy.
So keep an eye on those lower decks as it goes out further and further and further.
Do you think the flat earth arguer will say the ship is actually sinking? I don't know. I'm always interested and mystified.
As it goes out, it basically will vanish below the horizon.
Fair point. Why does that happen?
Okay, see the lower decks are almost obstructed now. And then when you go to a higher elevation and zoom back in, the lower decks are back. Why does this happen if that's perfectly flat? Why does that happen?
Fair point.
That they were obstructed, the guy gets a higher elevation, and suddenly, like magic, they're back. And that's all one continuous shot.
Okay, here, I got to give credit to this. So I don't know if you guys were watching a while ago when I did another one of these like kind of commentary streams while I was working. And like I watched like a debate that was like between an atheist and a Christian, and I was just like watching the debate and commenting on it. And one of the things I knew would make it a disastrous debate was that one of the guys, when he went on, was just like scattershotting like a billion points I have to say, like, one of the most effective things that people can do when they're debating or arguing with a conspiracy theorist is try to stick to like 3 points or 4 points. So I got to give this guy credit. I will figure out which one of the two debaters this is, but I got to give him credit for the beginning, just isolating like three key things, because there's like a million things you could bring up that prove around Earth. So targeting just like 3 basic ones for the sake of a debate is really smart, because I'm betting you like I don't know, I could probably bet like I'm not wealthy, so I'll bet you 2 cents that that in about like 5 minutes or whatever, when this guy gets to do his rebuttal, the flat earther, he probably will not stick to like 3 key points. He'll probably just scattershot like a million things and use scientific terminology that most people don't know to kind of try to deceive and like basically like Gish Gallop his way through it. So I think this guy's idea of like, okay, we're going to talk about these however few many things. I think that's a really smart move on his part, because otherwise you're stepping into dangerous territory talking to a conspiracy theorist if you allow them to like take you on the trail. What you want to do is like take out a few pins on their tack board. But because if you try to take down the whole web, it's like you will not have a productive conversation. They'll just keep leading you from yarn to yarn to yarn. Um, Philip was saying if the Earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off the edge by now. Fair point, Philip. I think, Philip, you should have been in this debate. That would have been the beginning of it. Philip Chandler going, why haven't cats pushed everything off the Earth then? And that's it. It's just like, no, that's my point. Okay, here we go.
To go out, it vanishes again.
I like this guy's accent.
How is that happening on a flat plane? That's
How
what
easy.
I like. Austin to our answer. These are lunar eclipses around the world. I think Austin's seen this one before. Why is it always circular? No matter what angle it's seen from, no matter what position, it's always circular. Yeah. The only thing that's circular from any position, any orientation, is a globe. What are lunar eclipses on a flat Earth?
Because you address that.
On a flat Earth, the Earth can't come between the sun and the moon. So what is a lunar eclipse on a flat Earth? What is causing this on a flat Earth?
Smart.
This is a diagram of how the lunar eclipse works. So on a flat Earth, this scenario would never happen. So how does it happen on a flat Earth? And I do want specificity of how that is occurring. So those are the questions. Circumpolar stars, why do they rotate in different directions?
Smart.
Why are they directly above the North and South Pole? Why do ships vanish from the bottom up when moving far away? And why does elevation bring them back into view? Why does the shadow from a lunar eclipse always appear round no matter what location or orientation it's viewed in? And how do lunar eclipses happen at all on a flat Earth? Thank you.
I just love that somebody has to waste their time debating this. Oh, here.
Stop the screen share.
So before the flat earther comes on, I just want to say another reason I love these kind of debates is like quite often the guy kind of positing the conspiracy, I don't know how this person will be, but they'll usually also have like, oh my gosh, I wish Corey were in chat right now because he could let me know what the term is for it. But it's like that syndrome where somebody who doesn't know a lot about something is like really cocky about it. Whereas like the more knowledgeable you get about something, like the more humble you'll usually be. Whereas if you're like really uneducated about something, it's like people tend to have more false confidence when they're less informed about something. And I'm just guessing, I haven't watched this yet, but I'm guessing this guy is going to be cocky and bold and proud of his contrarian viewpoint. Dunning-Kruger effect. That's right. Thank you, Thomas. You subbed in. That's awesome. Why does the sun ever come out at night? Okay, here we go. All right, ready, guys?
There.
Yeah, Paul was saying I can't wait for the rebuttal. Neither can I. I absolutely adore this.
Yeah, probably.
Apparently, they're having some issues,
Yeah,
connectivity
sorry, my bad.
issues.
Sorry, I was gonna say,
You guys,
I
it's
could've
Big
stopped it on
Roundy.
my end, but I'll just fix it.
Okay, so Mark
And I
Reed
think
was the
we'll
guy
turn
we
the
just
mic on
heard,
there.
who's the pro round
Got it
Earth.
fixed now. So with that there, thank you, Mark, for your opening
Thank you.
statement there and your video presentation there.
And now we're going to listen
Just to let
to
everybody know,
Austin
Moderate
Whitsitt.
Debate is a neutral debate platform. I am your host this evening.
Wow, this guy's
Ryan
mic is
Ryan.
not picking
We
up
are
at
hosting
all.
debates on science, religion.
It sounds like this, like
especially when we're talking about our controversial subjects. So with that opening there, Mark, we're going to kick it over to Austin, and he's going to be defending the flat Earth this evening. So with that, Austin, the floor is all yours.
It's here. The power and speed
guys.
of
Quick
Frontier Fiber
advertisement.
5 gig internet.
We'll skip it. Don't worry. Okay. I need to get YouTube red. Do any of you guys have the premium YouTube thing? Is it worth it?
That's my bad.
Cool. I'm gonna also share screen if that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wait. You guys,
All
when
right.
he shares a screen, will it be a flat screen? Oh, but it's okay. Here we go.
There we go. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Cool. Oh, I just moved it. Okay. Cool. All right.
He's got a model.
Asking why the southern star trails turn the other way in the southern quote unquote hemisphere is like a flat Earth 101 question. But anyway, when you look in different directions, it changes orientation, just like a 6 and a 9, just like being on the other side of a road when cars pass you, they'll look like they're going the other way. This is just an objective characteristic of perspective. In addition, we have something called the azimuthal.
Wait. I'm sorry. I got to pause this guy. An objective fact of perspective? Okay, interesting. I've never had that happen when. Okay, anyhow, keep going. Okay.
Grid of vision. So thanks, Walter, for the model here. You can see that we have an azimuthal grid of vision. It's called an arc of vision. That's how we see things. So we have a limit to our perspective, and in fact, it converges down and curves into that limit of perspective. This can be proven with railroad tracks. Of course, they are tangibly parallel, but our perspective shows the optical convergence because we have curved visual space. Now, what normally happens is globe proponents will deny that we have an azimuthal grid of vision, but unfortunately for them, they cannot, because we have something called anti-crepuscular rays that we can actually see 180 degrees behind us during, let me actually.
Hold on, you guys. My mind has changed. Anti-corpuscular rays. That's okay. Now I believe him. The Earth must be flat. You guys, I'm convinced. Debate over. Video over. I'm going to become. I'm just kidding. Okay, we'll keep listening. Anti-corpuscular rays. Here we go.
You just type that in right now. And it's directly behind the sun. So this will be seen 180 degrees behind us when the sun's in front of us. Okay. So the globe Earth's explanation for this is that we have a circular limit of view, and there's an optical bending of light causing the illusion that these parallel rays are actually behind us, bending up. So the globe Earth requires an azimuthal grid of vision to explain anti-crepuscular rays. Well, that's convenient because once you have the acknowledgement of the azimuthal grid of vision, as you can see here, it explains everything on the plane, literally all observations. So right here, like he's explaining, we're in the south. Well, you see how it looks when you see the motion of the stars in the south. You see right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it shows you the optical convergence around a singular point right here. Now, he pointed out that it's higher in the north and the south. In fact, it should be symmetrical on the globe. That's actually a debunk of the globe. But it makes perfect sense on a flat Earth because as you go further out, that's where it drops down. So this is an azimuthal grid of vision. Of course, he pretended that you could see the stars from each continent as if you could see them at the same time. Well, it's nighttime at different times for those places, and they don't see the stars at the same location or angle in their sky.
What?
So it's just a blatant straw man. This also explains the optical appearance of.
Wait. I love that he just like waxed over it by saying, "Oh, you just don't have that happen." You do on the Earth all the time. Like there are locations that are like during like sunrise and sunset, like after night is ending or night is beginning, you can be in two different locations and see the same sky. Like anyhow, that's kind of absurd to me. The idea that where he's just like, no, night happens in different spots. And actually, that's another really interesting thing of, well, we'll see what happens. But it's like, why does night happen in different spots? Like, that's not a bad. Anyhow, okay, let's hear this guy continue.
Eclipses, equinoxes, the direction the sun and moon rise, and what direction those stars are observed in the south. All of it is perfectly explained irrefutably with the azimuthal grid of vision, which is provable. Another thing that Mark likes to bring up is Lake Pontchartrain. Now, here's an actual picture of Lake Pontchartrain, one of the longest bridges in the United States, the longest bridge in the United States, I believe. I've driven on it, incredibly flat, basically in the water. I drove all across the whole thing multiple times.
Wait, you guys, so when you're driving on something, because it feels flat, it must be flat. Like, that's just the way it is. It's like, look, I drove on it. It was flat. Okay, let's hear his. It's funny. He's rebutting a point that that his opponent didn't even make. But again, this is kind of, we'll see if he kind of just loops on a million points instead of sticking to the main ones that were brought up.
And then they show this picture and claim that it's curving, and this proves the curvature of the Earth. Now, of course, hilariously, if this proved the curvature of the Earth would have to be like 1/5 of the size they claim the Earth is.
What?
And this is the actual picture of it. But they claim that this, looking through the atmosphere, having optical compression, proves the Earth's a ball, but it would actually prove the Earth.
Okay, you guys. Anytime you see an image where it's showing a large object that is rounding with the Earth, like it's what did he just say? I think he said optical convergence.
Is a ball with like really way less radius than 1/5 of the claimed radius of the globe. Never get a rebuttal to the fact that if this shows Earth curvature, then the Earth has to be way smaller. It's always ignored.
What?
He brought up boats disappearing and how you can go higher and see the boat, and that should be impossible. Here is, of course, time lapse of horizon. You can see the horizon goes up and down due to something called refraction, atmospheric conditions. And of course, if you go higher on a flat Earth, well, you're going.
You guys, refraction, atmospheric conditions, corpuscular rays, and I can't remember the thing he was talking about with the bending bridge.
Higher above the ground.
Atmospheric convergence.
You're going to have a horizon on the flat Earth, despite some people claiming you wouldn't for whatever reason, because you have both the sky and the ground. And you would never see either all the sky or all the ground. So you would have to have the location where it appears that the sky meets the ground, which is the definition of the horizon. We can see right here, this is not Earth curvature because the Earth is not breathing in and out. This is not a physical, tangible, geometric horizon. This is an optical appearance of what is called a horizon, an apparent horizon. That's what horizons are. The Earth is not doing yoga, stretching, breathing in and out right here. It's just optics. As I go higher into a less dense corridor of vision so that I'm not being obstructed or occluded by the atmosphere anymore, so I can begin to see the boat again, and I'm higher up.
You guys, it's occlusion, okay? Anticorpuscular occlusion rays. That's what's causing it. Okay, let's continue. You have to admit, are you not entertained? This to me is really fun to listen to. It's honestly, I could listen to people debate almost anything when I'm drawing. It's strangely relaxing. It's like my version of sports. Right now, I'm kind of rooting for Team Flat Earth guy. He's kind of funny and interesting.
Above what causes the optical convergence of the ground. Now, for a flat Earth evidence that will be almost assuredly ignored, there's something called ground wave radio transmission, ground wave propagation. So you have sky wave propagation and ground wave propagation. So they say that sky wave propagation bounces off the ionosphere and comes back down to the Earth because Marconi shot at 2,200 miles and the curvature of the Earth predicts to be blocked at 200 miles. He shot at 2,200 miles, first time success perfectly. All his attractors said he couldn't do it. It'd get blocked at 200 miles. So that's when they, quote unquote, discovered the ionosphere, was because they needed it, or the globe Earth was immediately refuted because he used horizontal line of sight propagation over the Earth, over bodies of water, 2,200 miles successfully. After that, he actually shot one 10,000 miles. We do that frequently nowadays. So they say the skywave propagations bounce off the ionosphere. Unfortunately for them, they cannot claim that for ground wave propagation. They claim that cannot bounce off the ionosphere. Well, here's a military document showing that they actually shoot ground wave high frequency propagation on the Earth. And that right here, if you look at about 800 kilometers, they will actually pick up the signal a few % of the time, Well, how high are they up? They are 3 meters up. So 3 meters up, a 3-meter antenna, that's just about 10 feet. They will pick up the ground wave.
So, okay, that's part of the tactic, though. You'll like, again, these guys are incredibly hard to debate, and not just flat Earth, like literally any conspiracy theorist, because again, he's going to be using a lot of terms that people are less familiar with to kind of obfuscate the point. It's, it's kind of reliant on the scattershot argument. So it'll be interesting to see. But again, to me, I'm going to be paying attention to how he even begins to address the points that were brought up at the beginning, because I don't think he actually has. He's kind of waxed over them being like anti-corpuscular rays. And it's anyhow. So it'll be interesting to kind of see if I can't wait till the back and forth. But I think he's going to probably gish gallop a little bit far beyond. So we'll see where it goes. But again, it's this guy's belief systems. So we'll see what happens.
Wave horizontal line of sight propagation over 800 kilometers away, which is 497 miles, which would have 32 miles.
Well, yeah, that's what they're kind of relying on. That's why one of my favorite flat Earth debates that I've watched was on Ask Professor Dave's channel, because Professor Dave is like, I think I can't remember. I think he's like a physicist. And so he actually knew every single term that the guy was using and would just call him out for misusing it every single time that he did. And kind of made a mockery very quickly of but again, like for the layman, like, I'll be the first to admit, like I've heard some of these terms in biology classes, but he's kind of referring to so many that it would be very hard to have this discussion. Because again, like, it's not really addressing the point, but again, you'd have to know all the specifics about all these niche items to kind of be able to debate a conspiracy theorist. That's kind of how these things hold water with people, because somebody will watch this and be like, well, they didn't know what this is, so they must not. Anyhow, let's go ahead.
The vertical Earth curvature blocking the horizontal transmission, yet they actually can pick it up over 500 miles away. This completely debunks the globe. There is no explanation.
Convinced.
So there you go. Hopefully someone will actually address why we have ground propagation. They won't bring up the ionosphere because I just explained why they cannot. And they'll try to explain to me how radio transmission can horizontally go through 32 miles of vertical Earth curvature and just go through the Earth and be received 800 kilometers away.
What?
I think that's, and he asked about eclipses. Like I said, the azimuthal grid of vision explains the location. We use the Saros cycle.
Wait, did he say something? Okay, so this is kind of weird because he was talking about radio transmissions, which weren't brought up, but it's anyhow, they don't bend around the Earth. They expand. Like, so you have like a globe, and then you have an expanding like cone of radio frequency. Yeah, Christopher was saying, I don't know, Joshua. I'm starting to believe him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm convinced now. But he's saying that radio, like, no, but I don't think anybody claims that radio waves
many years now to even know how they work. And the base foundation of prediction for NASA is the Saros cycle. They also use an ECEF, an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system, to actually even figure out.
Wait, I'm sorry. Okay, so this guy's a flat Earth believer, but then he cites NASA. Okay, sorry. Like, if they're anyhow,
figure out when the eclipses will happen or where they will happen. And let me close with this. There seems to be this misnomer that if someone can come up with any question they think that can't be explained on flat Earth, or someone doesn't know the answer to, that automatically flat Earth becomes wrong and globe Earth becomes true. Well, if that's the case, then if I can ask any question the globe can't explain, then globe Earth is no longer true and flat Earth becomes true. That's a very illogical way to go about it. Can you explain how the magnetic field of the globe is not symmetrical? What sustains the magnetic field of the globe? Can you explain how the core is going slower than the outside of the Earth's surface? Like, I can ask 500 questions that the globe admittedly has no answer to. It isn't how logic works. If you ask a question about the sky that you think we can't come up with an answer, that doesn't somehow prove your fantastical disproved claim. So that's my conclusion. Hopefully someone can explain how horizontal wave propagation over a globe Earth could possibly exist. And thank you.
All right, that was fascinating. I can't wait to hear the rebuttal. Oh, we're coloring comics, guys. We're shading comics.
The screen share. See, I went through the effort of turning up my mic preamp because everybody wanted me to be louder, and now I'm so loud.
By the way, you guys, if we aren't able to get through this whole,
if you want to stop screen sharing there, we'll.
I think our moderator's kind of doing the murmur thing. They need a new mic.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, I thought that was a rebuttal period that I didn't get. That wasn't really an introduction.
That's all right. So a little bit of housekeeping here.
That's okay. Kind of dishonest. It's fine.
It's fine. So yeah, all these debates that you're seeing here on the channel, they are uploaded to podcast forum within 24 hours of live stream. And also we do have a Q&A that's going to be happening at the end. So if you want to ask any of our speakers a question, just remember to remain respectful and to attack.
I mean, I gotta say, he looks really happy with his beliefs. This Austin fella.
We'll kick it over to Mark here.
He looks pretty confident. I don't know.
Sure. Yep. Austin, could you provide the deviance of the azimuthal grid of vision that shows that you can see the circumpolar southern stars from Perth and from, say, Cape Town, where a friend of mine lives?
Can I provide the what?
The variation in angle for the azimuthal field of vision. Because, I mean, the angles that you're showing there would not reach from one to the other.
What? Wait, what? Is based on each observer.
Adam was saying Mark Reed. I know that guy. Yeah, we're watching
field of vision between South Africa.
We're watching him take on the Herculean task of debating conspiracy theorists, which is actually a really hard thing to do. So good job, Mark, so far. Okay, let's keep going.
Africa and Australia.
You want me to drop it in the chat?
It's the most
oh no! All right, guys, we're gonna have to get a YouTube Premium
provides powerful
at some point.
You may drop the model in the
read
chat.
it out if you want.
No, I'll drop the model in the chat.
So you can't answer that. You can't answer. Okay, well let's move on then, because you can't answer that. You said that there's
wait.
No. I mean,
no, wait. Are you denying azimuthal grid of vision?
No, but the angles that you're sort of saying that the southern hemisphere places should see the stars at the same time are way larger than any provided by that like that grid of vision. Way larger.
Yep. Wait, what
There's
are the
no
angles?
way that azimuthal. The angles.
You just said that you knew the angles were way larger. So what are they?
Yeah. So the angles are easily above 60 degrees or so.
Hmm. The azimuthal grid of vision. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
I love how confident this Austin
it's
Witsit
the way that
is.
The appearance of the angle that we're seeing something varies depending on the perspective that we're seeing it in.
And you agree it's a real thing?
Yeah, but you can't just say azimuthal field of vision and expect that to hand wave magically explain everything. You've got to show with calculations how the azimuthal grid of vision actually gives you that deviation that you're expecting. Because just saying azimuthal field of vision would mean like me saying, well, nuclear decay of atoms. It doesn't mean anything without you actually backing it up with some substance.
Right. That's why I said, thanks, Walter. Every single calculation, every position, every angle of the stars are built into the model, into the azimuthal grid.
Okay.
Every single position.
So that model shows definitively that azimuthal field of vision will cover both Australia and Africa, South Africa.
Yeah, because they see the stars in different places in the sky, and they don't see them at all three places at the same time.
I'm sorry,
it's
they're
not
different
nighttime
places
at
in the
same
sky.
Time. What?
Sorry about that, guys.
Places in the sky.
You didn't know that?
So they're seeing two different sets of circumpolar stars. Is that right?
No, that's a straw man fallacy.
Well, then if they're seeing different stars in different places, what are you talking about?
Who said different stars?
You said they were in different places.
Yeah. Do you think they're at the exact same angle of observation from each location?
No.
Okay, so they're in different places in the sky.
Yes, but that would mean that the azimuthal field of vision would have to deviate by about 60 to 90 degrees. How does that happen? Where are your calculations for that?
I'll drop you the entire model. Have you ever looked at Walter Bislin's model. Okay.
I can look at it, but from what you showed on the screen, that model didn't cover Australia and South Africa at the same time.
Well, someone can't see stars from those two places at the same time. Only one
What?
observer can make an observation at one time. So
No,
that grid is
it's
showing
not.
each individual observer.
You know that South Africa and Australia can both be nighttime at the same time. I can call up somebody in Cape Town, a buddy in Cape Town, and we can see the circumpolar stars at the same time. And it's weird that you said, oh, they have different times for different places, because, yeah, that's how our system works. You realize that we're in different times, right, Austin? But we're talking to one another.
I had to tell you that. You seem to think that there was nighttime at all three positions because you looked at a 2015.
I didn't say all three.
You interrupt me
100%.
every time I talk, Mark.
Well,
You
you're
just get a
misrepresenting me.
Get a little impulse control, man. So, like, okay, you brought up the three
Wait,
positions.
wait. I'm sorry. I want to borrow that from Austin. Like, again, I don't really do debates, but I love that idea of like before the guy isn't actually having trouble. I don't know. I feel like this Mark guy is doing pretty good, actually. It has kind of held his cool and is just trying to kind of make his point, but also is dealing with somebody who's clearly like, well, like if you're like, okay, so you can see stars at the same time in different locations on the earth. And he's like, no, you can't. It's like, and he's like, okay, no. Like, I literally have a friend who lives in this different country and he can look at the sky. I can look at the sky at the same time. Like, this is just fact. And the guy's like, no, it isn't. Like, and like rolling his eyes. And then when he's just continuing to explain, he's like, hey, a little impulse control guy. I want to borrow that part where it's like, the next time I have Jim Lujan on Artcasters, I want to be like, Jim, like, explain animation to me. And he's like, well, what you do? Oh, you can't explain it? And you're like, no, I was just starting to explain it. Well, sure, you're starting to explain it. And then finally, like, when Jim continues to explain it, just be like, impulse control, Jim, impulse control. All right. Anyhow, that's a funny one. Good baiting, I guess. This Austin guy's fascinating. I don't know, guys. My mind's changing
at the same time. That's a 2015 easily debunked anti-flat Earth meme. But that's the only reason I pointed out. It's nighttime, different times for those people. That's how the Earth works. And the point that I made about them, it's not whether or not they can see the stars. Sure, two of those people can see the stars around the same time because it begins to get dark at one of the places at the same time. Sure, but they see the stars in different positions in the sky. The azimuthal grid represents each observer looking in the southern direction, seeing the stars. And when you map it out, it all matches perfectly with that azimuthal grid.
Okay, so that's hilarious because you misrepresented me. I never said all three at the same time, so you're just lying about that. I said, I specifically kept saying Australia and Cape Town because both of them, you can be nighttime at the same time. One is early morning, one is late night, or early night. Sorry, one is early morning. Basically, the thing that you showed did not have that azimuthal grid of vision showing over both South Africa and Australia. So your own model debunks you.
But you still don't understand it.
Hey, excuse me.
I gotta say, as much as like I am not thinking that Austin is making a very compelling performance here, Mark does have to back off a little bit because he is now hogging a little bit of the airtime, and like so this Austin guy is going to get like an optical win. Which, by the way, if I were doing this, one of my biggest problems is like, if I were debating or whatever, one of my biggest weaknesses is I tend to ramble and be a little too talkative. So I would make the same mistake, especially, again, it's a very frustrating conversation to talk to conspiracy theorists and like, especially when you're trying to debunk them and they're kind of just cockily like, azimuthal grid. Okay, anyhow, but yeah, Mark is going to take probably an optical loss at some point because I think the moderator will have to step in. We'll see.
Still addressing your points. Now, I never said that it basically you never told me how time zones work, Austin. I'm aware that it's different times at here and where you are, and it is the same time. So I don't know why you're sort of trying to say, oh, well, I never said, oh, I told you it was different time. No, come on. You just said it's different times for each of those places. If I am talking directly to a person there, it doesn't matter. It's the same time regardless of what your clock says. And that's a basic you know, I don't know why you don't understand that and have to go, well, I explained that to you.
You
It's
want me to
ridiculous.
share this? You want me to share the screen again since you don't seem to get
Sure.
the.
Yeah, no, share
Oh,
it. Share
okay.
it. Go for it.
Is that cool if I share the screen? Because he doesn't seem.
Okay, guys, clearly the issue is Mark is not getting this. So we need to run through it one more time because that could be the only explanation. It's like, hey, can I show you my little, grid here? Because you're clearly not getting it. It must be that. That must be the reason. If only Mark could see sense, then like he would wake up and be like, oh man, you know what? You know what, Austin? You're correct.
I understand it.
Sure, we can definitely do that. Just give me 1 second here. Once again, I've changed my mic, so let me know if my audio is coming through now.
Paul said this is hilarious. It is.
Yeah. All right, so everybody, just let me get your screen share up there.
Fair point, Christopher.
And there, you guys are welcome to go through that as you please. Just let me know when you're ready to stop sharing.
Okay, cool. Mark, you see how this is one single observer.
Sorry. Okay, so I have to interject here too. Do you see how like confident this Austin guy is? He starts out with like, Mark, look, let me school you. Like his tone of voice is like really condescending to Mark, which again is a little strange considering his kind of far position, but I'm sure this guy does this a lot. But again, him just being like, Mark, let me go through this with you again. Okay.
This would be another observer. This would be another
go
observer.
around to Australia. Yeah. So
This would
when
be
you're
another
looking
observer.
south, so when you're looking south on that, right? So south, right? You're seeing the circumpolar stars at both locations. So you're trying to say that, hey, if Australia looks west and Cape Town, say, looks east, you see the same stars. Yeah, that's true. But they're looking south. So how does that work? It doesn't
not
cover
see
both.
The model, Mark.
I see
You
the model.
understand the model.
Fair point.
I see the model.
I have a feeling Christopher
Like
won a lot of debates.
the azimuthal field of vision has look at the angle that field of vision is going into. It's almost a what?
So okay, here's Austin debating Christopher. So he'd be like, look, the earth is flat. Whatever you say is correct. Because Christopher's very large guy. That was my joke, was that he'd be looking up and then change his mind.
270.
By the way, 15 more minutes. Yeah, Christopher said, that's your opinion, Joshua. I love it. So just so you guys know, full disclosure, we're going to watch more of this for about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to take off, read to my kid, and then I'll be back streaming around 9. So I will put this on pause so we can do part 2. Because I'm really enjoying this. I don't know if you guys are, but we'll do about 15 more minutes of this, and then continue to be continued at 9.
That is apparently perspective is changing. You have to demonstrate that it will actually do that with calculations. You can't just say, hey, here's a model where our vision flips round 270 degrees in order to make my flat earth dream a reality.
That's true.
Like,
you don't
provide some calculations that it does actually do this.
It's the same exact visual curved space for both observers. You see, if you look to the left from here, you have the same curve as if you look to the right from here. It's the same degree of visual curved space.
Well, it's not.
Seem to understand. I'll send
if
you.
that was the case, excuse me,
model.
if that was the case, then I should be able to see the stars in the northern hemisphere, including Polaris, and I don't. Why is that, Austin?
Oh, so now that you've been debunked,
no, put it back around to Australia. Look. That one, you can see the stars in the northern. Oh yeah, okay, get rid of it real quick.
Oh,
and you can see
now
the
I have to
stars
reshare it because you're just gaslighting. Like somehow you've shown you don't even understand it.
You can reshare if you'd like.
That's
guess,
we're actually reading James
like
is a Giant Peach,
No,
but that is
no,
a great book.
Reshare. No, go for it.
Okay, no problem.
So you can see with this the 270-degree angle that these are
100% agree.
You can see the stars in the higher portions of the northern hemisphere. But in Australia, in the southern hemisphere, I can't see those stars, right? Those stars I will never be able to see. And if this model was true, I should be able to see the circumpolar stars in the northern hemisphere too, which I will never see from the position I am in the southern hemisphere. This model doesn't work.
This is awesome.
Yeah, well, explain that.
I'm going
why
to.
Can...
Wait. Okay, so this is hilarious to me because I hate to say it, like, a lot of credit to this Mark guy because he has held his cool in the most absurd of debate situations. Credit to him, but holy crap, can you imagine how frustrating it would be to be in his chair right now? It's just a hard thing to. Okay, we have 12 more minutes and then I'm
This
reading
is hilarious.
question,
okay, so
we'll end the
just
broadcast.
so you understand, this is using stellarium data. This is using actual stellarium data based on the different locations. It factors in what stars are observable from the actual locations on the Earth, using the same data you use to map out your Earth model. That's why it doesn't show all the northern stars. It just shows the further ones out. And yes, believe it or not, in the southern hemisphere, you can see stars from the north, which actually debunks your belief system. But you guys claim it's refraction. And we can actually see Polaris below the equator. And you guys claim that it's refraction. So as I move this forward towards the North Pole, oh, look, I'm starting to see more of the northern stars.
Paul, that's hilarious. These guys would both go all out for Australia and risk. I feel like Mark would be the guy who avoids Australia. I feel like this Austin guy would be like fighting to the death for Australia and risk for sure.
Stars, Mark. This is
He's definitely a no Australia,
data.
no win type.
So if you're disagreeing with that, then you're disagreeing with stellarium data. So obviously, I'm going to stop sharing now. I'll drop you the link.
Okay, so why can't you see the circumpolar stars from the northern hemisphere then?
Mark is all about Kamchatka.
Stop sharing. It wasn't to run away.
The southern circumpolar star. No, I'm not changing the subject. It's that model doesn't work because at the angles, if
you guys,
field of view.
Philip, I have to pause this for Philip's brilliant point here. He did say, well, the risk board is flat. That is true.
Was actually happening, the grid of vision was happening, you should be able to see the northern circumpolar stars from that model when you're looking south of all things, like the way that it bends 270 degrees. And what's really telling is you can't give any kind of fixational points or any kind of calculation under the azimuthal grid of vision in order to calculate that 270 degree angle of deviance from straight line would actually happen.
Yeah.
Introducing Astapro Allergy. Astapro is steroid free, unlike Flonase.
So,
Astapro and go.
Endless red tape tying up American energy and construction.
Oh my goodness, I don't want to show political ads here. Okay, here we go.
Yes, we can. It's
okay. I gotta give Mark some credit here too, because like practically what it sounds like Austin is claiming is that like if I were looking at my wife Mai, and she's walking away from me. At some point, if she's like walking away towards the horizon, according to what Austin is claiming, at some point she's going to get far enough away where I'm going to see the front of her face, even if she's walking away from me and I'm looking at the back of her head, because he's saying that like he's smuggling in this term about like a perspective distortion, and then making the absurd claim that you could fully rotate an item that's not fully rotated. That's an insane claim. So Mark is very well calling him out on that. Not that the flat earth is an insane claim or anything. He's completely, Austin is definitely right there. But yeah, you guys know, because we're all artists, right? We all draw in perspective. At some point, a building gets so far back in perspective that you see the back of the building instead of the front, even though you're looking at the front of the building, right? If you back out enough, the building literally flips 360 degrees. Sorry.
All built into the model. And I even explained to you that within your own model, we have 180 degree anti-crepuscular rays Your model has to explain. So if the sun goes under the horizon of the Earth, and as it's going under the horizon, I see anti-crepuscular rays 180 degrees the other way. How does that work on the globe, Mark?
Those aren't
well, we don't see anti-crepuscular rays coming in the other direction. So that's why, because it's not a 270 degree field of view. It's not. What it is you're seeing the rays come. Where does the rays come from?
They come from all over, and at times
no.
See them from 180
when you put the sun behind you and the rays are coming up, where are the rays? Are they coming from in front of you?
See how you just didn't ask the question? Now you're asking me questions. So on your model, the sun goes below the horizon. Okay. And if I'm looking at the sun go below the horizon because it looks like it's moving, but it's not, and we're falling backwards and it makes the sun look like it's moving, and then it goes behind the curve of the Earth, like you believe, then why do I see the anti-crepuscular rays directly behind me?
You don't.
That's the question.
You don't.
We do. So you're just saying, no,
it's just you see them coming from under, like where the sun has gone behind the horizon.
I can't.
Yes,
can't, Paul.
Do Austin?
I'm
okay,
convinced.
you're wrong, and you need to research it. So if I'm right,
so
are you saying that would be...
You're wrong, and you need to research it. That's going to be my other reply. To any time somebody makes a salient point, I'm going to be like, "You're wrong. Do the research." Said every scientist ever.
A response.
No, you said no. Everyone can Google it right now, and they're going to know live time I'm right. So are you saying that if anti-crepuscular rays show up somewhere other than the location of the sun, it debunks the globe?
No, I did not say that.
How would it work on a globe?
What I'm saying is that when the sun goes behind the horizon, you do not see the rays originating from the other direction, Austin. It gets dark over there.
You thought you were slick by saying originating, but we see anti-crepuscular rays without seeing the originating source. We see the rays that appear to diverge from a singular point, all in the sky, different places, and sometimes we see them directly 180 degrees. How would that work on the globe?
That is so dishonest.
I love this Austin guy. Like, I think I don't know. I got to give him credit because, like, he's super cocky and confident. And, like, I don't know. There is something compelling about somebody being like, I'm going to talk to you very slowly as if you're dumb. Like, even though you're the person making this insane claim, it's anyhow. Where it's like, look, guy, I understand. You pointed out some valid problems with my model. Clearly, you don't understand the model. Let's go through it again, maybe a little slower so you can digest it. Like that kind of attitude. Yeah. Paul said, this is where you kick the flat earther in the balls and just walk away. I gotta give him credit for that, like just the boldness of like, look, Roundy, okay, we're gonna talk science right now. If you can't handle it, maybe you need to just walk out of the debate. Okay.
Because what we are talking about is the location of the star, which is the origin point of the light. So when you're saying anti-crepuscular rays, we can see them behind you. You are saying, in trying to be analogous with those stars, that they are originating from behind you, which they don't. You are basically making a false analogy and trying to say because rays travel and diffuse all over the place as anti-crepuscular rays, that they originate from where the light is. No, they don't, Austin.
It or something? You're like lifetime Googling it.
Like, Ryan, I just got to check. Is this my question time or is this his question time? Like,
I love all the ad homs where he's just like basically if he makes a valid point, he's like, you must be just Googling it right now. I don't know. This guy's my superhero. I think I'm going to become a flat earther tomorrow. I'm kidding. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the debate. Stay tuned for part 2, where I will review it. I got almost done with shading a panel. Now I'm going to go read James and the Giant Peach to my kid, and And then let's see, I'll be back on around like 8:45 or 8:50. And we will probably finish this panel, listen to more of this debate, maybe play a round of Risk, maybe work on more comics, and we can all do it together. I hope you guys enjoy this. Again, I think this might be the second time where I've done like live commentary and stuff. I just thought it would be fun to do. So if you guys enjoy that, let me know. And again, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, hit all of that stuff so you get notifications when I'm about to go live. And I'll see you guys in a little bit. Christopher, that kills me. All right, guys. Come back for more intensity and art time. All right. See you guys in about an hour. Thomas said, I want my IQ points back for listening to this guy. Hey, you know what? Yeah, you'll get your IQ points on the next live stream. I'm holding them hostage till then. And then Paul said, good night. Unfortunately, it's late over on this side of the globe. That is just that's light refraction and magnetic fields distorting your perception, Paul. We're actually all in the same time frame. And that's just your idea of a globe. That's all. And then Christopher was saying flat Earth. Yes. Okay. See you guys on the next one. Bye.